Academy. Today we are continuing our Romanian for Expats lessons. Please like and follow our page and share the lesson if possible, and please enjoy. All right, so allow me to share my screen. So today we are continuing with lesson number 5, Lecția 5. And today we are going to talk about gender in Romanian. So up until this point, I've introduced some different aspects regarding gender in our previous lessons. But as I told you, the gender is quite a complex topic and also very fundamental one. So I want to approach it carefully because I want you to understand it as better as possible and to be able to tell the gender of the nouns in Romanian. So for starters, there are 3 genders in Romanian. We have masculine nouns, feminine, and neuter nouns. And these nouns can be further divided into 2 categories. We have here animate things, which are actually people and animals. Animate meaning that they have life, and these can be either masculine or feminine. And we also have inanimate, which are more often than not objects or concepts or phenomena, so things that do not have life. And these can be any of the 3 genders that we have. All right, so let's look at this table here. And I've given you here a list of very common nouns. And I want you to take a look at them, and we are going to read them together. And I want you to sort of identify a pattern among them, because there is one. It's just not a flat out written rule. It's very almost instinctual, so to say. But this, you don't have to be scared by this or overwhelmed by this, because at some point you will be able to tell the difference between them and to identify the correct gender. All right, so let's take a look at the masculine nouns. So we have tată, frate, profesor, băiat, student, doctor, copil, fiu. So of course we have all the people or our relatives that are men, as father, brother, son, which of course will be masculine. But look at the other ones, and if you look at their endings, you will see that all of them end in a consonant, which will be very useful as we look at the feminine nouns. So we have mamă, soră, profesoară, fată, studentă, carte, pisică, lecție. What do these have in common? Take a look at the ending. I've marked it for you. So most of them will have either the a ending or the e ending that you see right here. So these nouns will always be feminine. So of course we have the relatives that are female, and of course the nouns will be feminine. But look here, we also have objects such as carte, lesson, lecție. So you can see that even inanimate objects can be feminine. And now let's take a look at the last category, which are the neuter nouns. And we have pix, caiet, telefon, creion, calculator, oraș, apartament, dormitor. What do these have in common? The fact that all of them are inanimate objects. And take a look at the ending. You see that all of them end in a consonant. So most of the time, the neuter nouns will behave no different than the masculine nouns. So this will make it a bit easier for you to identify the neuter nouns. But be careful, because if the word that we have, for instance, is an object but does not have a consonant as its ending, it has either a or e, then it can be feminine. It can be a feminine noun. All right, and now that we've established a sort of a foundation for today's lesson, let's continue with the indefinite article. So as you will see from now on, everything is in Romanian will have a gender distinction, and the indefinite article is no different. So we will have un for either masculine or neuter nouns, and o for feminine nouns. Now, the indefinite article in English is simply a or an, and of course, it does not have a gender distinction. All right, so let's take a look at the examples that we have in this table. So, first of all, we have the masculine nouns. What are the steps? We need to take a look at the word first, at the noun, and first we have to decide what gender that noun is. So in this case, even if the word ends in a, and this ending is normally used for feminine nouns, the word that we have here refers to a male person, to a man, a father. And of course, it will not be a feminine noun, but it will be a masculine one. So in front of it, we need to put the correct indefinite article, which in this case will be un. Un tată, un profesor, un băiat, un doctor. Okay, moving on to feminine nouns. Again, we need to take a look at the word and we need to decide what gender that word is. So in this case, we have mamă. It has the particular ending for feminine nouns. And if that's not enough, it also refers to a female, to, of course, the mother. And it will always be feminine. And we will put in front of it the correct indefinite article, which in this case will be o. O mamă, o profesoară, o studentă, o carte. Now, take a look here at the word teacher. So in this case, in English, teacher does not have a gender distinction. But in Romanian, we have a different word when we refer to the female teacher versus when we refer to the male teacher. So you see here that we have the a ending to form the feminine version of the word, but we also have here the vowel a, which sort of appears to feminize the word. And we will see this in many other instances. For example, for studentă, which is a feminine noun, we have the male variant as well, un student. And you will see that student ends with a consonant. So in that case, it will obviously be a masculine noun. All right, and now let's go to the last category. We have the neuter nouns. And again, we look at the word, we see that it ends in a consonant. And if that's not enough of an indicator, it is also an object, an inanimate object. So it will be a neuter noun. And we need to put the correct indefinite article in front of it. So we will have un creion, un telefon, un oraș, un pix. Okay, so in the second part of today's lesson, we are going to do many exercises. Some of them will be to apply the theoretical part that we've just covered, but other exercises will also be like an extensive revision of what we've already done during our previous lessons. So let's take them one by one and see how we can solve them. And I've also marked here at the end of each exercise, the last three will be your sort of homework for our next class, if you would like to try to solve them. All right, so let's begin with the first exercise where we have to translate the following sentences into Romanian. So the first sentence is, you are a teacher, and I've marked here between brackets the gender that I want, because I've mentioned that teacher in Romanian has two different variants for the male version and the female version. So we will begin first with the pronoun. For you, we have tu. Now we need to add the correct form of the verb to be, tu ești, and now a teacher. First of all, we have profesoară, okay, which is, as we've mentioned, a feminine noun, and we need to put before it the correct indefinite article. Tu ești o profesoară. All right, let's move on to the next sentence. He is a boy. Let's begin with our subject with the correct pronoun, el. Now we need the verb to be conjugated accordingly. El este or e. As I've told you, this is the sort of shorter version of the verb. El este or el e un băiat. Un băiat. All right, the next sentence. You have a boy and a girl. So this is a bit longer and a bit more complicated, maybe at first sight, but we are going to see now that it's not that difficult. So first we need to put the correct subject to, and then the correct form of the verb. And be careful because now we have the verb to have and not the verb to be. Tu ai, and now a boy and a girl. So for each of these words, we need to put the correct indefinite article in front of them. So boy, of course, will be a masculine noun in Romanian, and we need to put before it un băiat, and will be she. And now a girl is of course feminine, so we will put o fată. Okay, and let's move on to the last one. Be careful because here I've marked the exact variant that I want, because as I've mentioned previously, there are two different options for they based on gender. We have ei, which is for masculine, refers to masculine, to male people, and the feminine, which we will use in this case, and it will be ele. Ele au. And now a book. Book is an object, but if you remember, objects can have can be either of those three genders. So the word we're looking for is carte, and let's look at the ending. It ends in an e, and even if it is an object, it will be a feminine noun. So we need to put o before it. All right. So this was the first exercise. Now let's move to exercise number 2, where we have to do the exact same thing, but this exercise is more of a revision, so to say. And I've also written for you here in brackets the words that you might not know. All right, so let's look at sentence number 1. He has a big dog. El are. And now a big dog. So pay attention, because I've mentioned during our previous lessons that the order of the adjectives and nouns in Romanian is different than in English. So in Romanian, it will be a dog big. It will be actually different. So the adjective will always come after the noun in Romanian. So it will be un câine mare. I've also written for you here the gender of the noun. So we need to use un câine mare. Okay, the next one. George is 13 years old. So last time we've learned how to express one's age in Romanian. So George. And remember that in English, we use the verb to be to express the age, but in Romanian, we will use the verb to have, because as I've mentioned before, age is something that we possess, that we have, that is ours, that is the logic behind it. So George are, and 13 will be 3 spre 10 ani. An is the equivalent of years old. All right. I don't have a cat, so we need the negation here. Eu nu am, or the contracted form, n-am. Remember, this is the equivalent of the apostrophe in English. Eu nu am or eu n-am. O pisică. Yes, I've written for you here the gender. Okay, the next sentence. You have breakfast at 10 a.m. Tu ai micul dejun, and now at 10 a.m. This at will be in Romanian la. La ora 10. Ora means hour and 10 is 10. La ora 10. Okay. They have a pen and a book. Again, we have two different objects and we need to be careful of their gender. So, ele, again, because we need the feminine version. Ele au, okay, a pen. If you are still not, if you do not remember their gender, these are the words that we've learned during this lesson, so you can scroll up and take a look at the table. So, ele au un pix, because pix is an inanimate object which ends with a consonant, so it's neuter. Un pix, și. Carte, if you remember, was a feminine noun, even if it's an object. O carte, because it has the E ending. All right? She is a teacher, and I didn't write for you here the gender because it's going to be quite obvious. We are talking about a woman, so we need the feminine version of the word teacher in Romanian. So, ea este, or e, profesoară. Ea este profesoară. And the last exercise where we are going to revise how we can tell the time in Romanian. Este, or e, ora, which means hour, ora 5, și un sfert. Un sfert means a quarter, so it will be 5 and a quarter. And if you look here at un sfert, you see that it has un before it, so this noun is neuter. Okay, so and the rest I kindly invite you to try to translate them on your own. You have here the words that are new for you, and you can follow the exact same pattern that we've used in the other sentences. All right, now let's move on to the next exercise where we need to complete the following sentences with the correct indefinite articles. So either un or o. And to make it easier for you, because we have here some new words, I've included their gender. And you also have the translation in English here in brackets if you want to take a look at what they mean. Okay, mama lui este o profesoară extraordinară. O. Tatăl meu este un inginer faimos. Sora mea are un câine maro. Sora ei este o fată deșteaptă. Toți au un comportament ciudat. And I've given you here a synonym for ciudat, which is straniu. Straniu. Why did I give it to you here? Because it's similar to the word that we have in English, so maybe you will remember it easier. All right? Toate au un tablou mic și verde. Mama mea n-are o mașină roșie. What do all these sentences have in common? The fact that I've given you here noun plus adjective or adjectives. And I will kindly invite you to analyze the differences that we have in Romanian versus English. As you have here the translation, you will see What is the difference? I've already told you that the adjective will always follow the noun, so it will not stand in front of it as it is in English. All right, and again, here you have 3 sentences for you to complete. Okay, and now let's move on to the last exercise where we need to negate the verbs a fi and a avea from the following sentences using both the long form and the contractions where possible. The contractions, if you remember, in Romanian we use a hyphen, whereas in English we use the apostrophe. For example, if you say I'm instead of I am. All right, so, and also another note, only the verb to have, a avea, can be contracted with the hyphen. So, eu am doi frați mai mici. So, first of all, you need to identify the verb. So in this case, it will be am, which is the form of the verb to have. Eu am. And now we need to say, I don't have 2 younger brothers. First of all, we will put nu in front of it. Nu am, because if you remember, that's the way in which we have to negate the verbs. And then we need to use the contracted form, nam. And if you remember, this hyphen keeps the place of the vowel u, nam, nu am. Okay. Now, the second sentence, mama mea are 2 mașini. First of all, we identify the verb, are. Now, which verb is it? The verb to have, a avea. So first of all, we will put nu in front of it to say that my mom does not have or doesn't have 2 cars. And then we are going to write the contracted form, where again, the hyphen keeps the place of the vowel u. N-are, n-are 2 mașini. Okay, the next sentence, ei au 2 case frumoase. We identify the verb. Again, it is the verb to have. So first of all, we will put the negation in front of it, and then we are going to write the contracted form. Sorry, now. Ei nu au or ei n-au. N-au 2 case frumoase. Okay, sentence number 4. Ele sunt foarte răbdătoare. First of all, we identify the verb. In this case, it is the verb to be. And we will simply put nu in front of it to negate it. All right, sentence number 5. Acele fete sunt din acest oraș. Again, this is the verb. It is the verb to be. And now we will simply put nu in front of it. Acele fete nu sunt din acest oraș. Those girls are not from this town. Sentence number 6. Mașina mea este foarte nouă. And now we have to say my car isn't very new. We identify the verb. Again, it is the verb to be. And we put nu in front of it. Nu este. Mașina mea nu este foarte nouă. And the last sentence, lecția aceasta are mult sens. Again, this is the verb are, to have. And now we need to put nu in front of it. And because it is the verb to have, this means that it also has a contracted form using the hyphen. Lecția aceasta n-are mult sens. And again, here you have 3 more sentences to do on your own. First of all, you identify the verbs, then you decide which verb it is, and then you put the negation in front of it. And if it's the verb to have, then it will also have a contracted form. All right, so that's it for today. I really hope that you've enjoyed today's lesson and that you've learned something very new and useful. And I really hope that I will see you again during our next lesson. Have a great day and wish you all the best. Goodbye.